to the cloud. Okay, everybody ready? Maybe let's all mute our microphones.
Except for me.
Except for you.
Okay. So tell me when you're.
Congratulations, Marina.
Ah.
Go, Mum.
You ready?
You got this.
We're all ready. Okay, great. So welcome everybody, and I'm so proud to see you all having done your 500 volume points to qualify for this focus group call, and that's really well done. I'm so proud of you. My best advice to you is to just keep on doing it, but keep doing a bit more each month, because you know, in this business we don't just tell people what to do, we actually show by example what we do. And that's, you know, we believe to work from a position of integrity and honesty, and getting people to do what we do as well. So what I'm going to do today is to give you some background. I want to give you my story, because there are some people here who've known me for a few years, but they don't know my whole story. And I'm not going to go into the whole 30 years story, but I really want to give you some background so that you've got an idea about Herbalife and what it was like in the very beginning, so that you can see how far we've come, how wonderful this company is, what it is based on, and also how fortunate we are today to be right here, right now, doing this business. So I know Lucy's prepared a bunch of slides that are going to be quite a sort of like throwback to the past, when I first started Herbalife. And I'd like you to actually take a look at this first picture with me here that says, you know, focus group call. And this is actually taken approximately a year ago now. And I think you probably think I look pretty much the same as that, you know, maybe a little less makeup today. But have a look at pretty much my first month in Herbalife and see what you can see about how much I've changed. Or not. So the picture here, right smack in the middle here, that was within my first month, where I'm wearing a kind of an animal print top. Okay, you can see my hair is short. And I could never keep my hair very long, because it would always be splitting and breaking and so on. And I'm kind of round and plump there as well, because I always had a little bit of extra weight that I could lose. And all, you know, every woman you meet would like to be like, you know, maybe 5 pounds slimmer and a little bit trimmer. And that was me. And when I got into Herbalife, I really did not believe that I could do anything in sales, or that involved talking to people, or indeed anything that was to do with like all stuff that you take, tablets and powders, because I was very anti anything that sort of what I thought was unnatural. But I got onto Herbalife, and to my amazement, I lost a lot of weight, 21 pounds. I lost 4 inches from my waist and 3 inches from my tummy and my hips, and I was very excited. And one of the things that we were told in the beginning is, if you want to be serious in this business, what you need to do is to qualify as a supervisor, which I know almost all of you on this call are now supervisors, which is great. So you've actually reached the position which actually says, I'm serious about this business. And I have a dog outside wanting to come in, so sorry about that. So here I am in the middle. In my first month in the business, I'd qualified to the supervisor level, and I was able then to go to my very first supervisor workshop with my partner, who's now my husband, Tim. He's the guy with the spiky hair, and the wonderful guy in the middle, some of you may or may not know, the one with the red tie, it's Mark Hughes, our president and founder. Good-looking guy. A lot of people love to have met him in those days. They just wanted to be around him because he was so good-looking. Sorry. Sorry. almost given up, but she has to be on the other side of any door.
Just like all of us. The door to
yeah. So yeah, wherever the door is, she's got to be on the other side of it. So so Mark Hughes, the president, the founder of the company, to actually be able to meet him and be with him and socialize with him was a great honor. But we got to do it every month, pretty much. But go back one shot, please, Lucy. This particular one where I'm in the leopard top was the first time I'd met him. We had actually qualified at supervisor level, and we had to go to the supervisor workshop. But where did we go? We went to Dallas, Texas, because that's where it was. So that's what we did. We jumped on a plane at the weekend. We both had jobs, took time off for the weekend, got on a plane, flew to Dallas, went to Mark Hughes's workshop, and came back Monday morning for work. But that was a life-changing weekend. To meet the man who established this company, to understand his dream, made me realize this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So if you've never met him, that's okay. But what I would say is borrow my eyes, which is what Mark would say. Follow what we know. And this is the man with slightly less and whiter hair that's in the photograph.
Yeah, because there were no supervisor workshops in the UK.
So we had to go all the way to Dallas for that.
And we've been only in the business 3 weeks. But, Leslie was having such an amazing result on the products. And we were just so excited by what we saw with, the people around us and what was happening to them. And we just thought, this is, this is just an amazing thing. We were probably you were pretty shocked when you came across Herbalife. There's something like this good, and if it's this good, and I've never heard of it before, what's going on? And it really was a huge shock to us, and but very exciting. And yes, we went over there and to Dallas, and the workshop was Mark and Larry, and it was just absolutely magical. And there was when we actually met Mark Hughes, I remember the first time I shook his hand. I bet I was just so that I shook his hand and I felt like an electric shock going through me. I think that was just as either excitement or static electricity from the carpet. I don't know. But I just thought, I can't believe it.
It was a sign.
It was exciting. And and Mark used to do this great thing where he loved the theme from Rocky, da, da, and all this kind of thing. And he'd come on from the back of the room. The room would go dark, and it would be the Rocky theme, and he'd come on through the middle of the room, and of course everyone would go completely wild, and people shaking his hand and coming up to him and just because he was just so lovely, and he was so lovely to everybody, and we were right up near the stage. And so he met us, we were right on the edge of the crowd, and he came up to right where we were, and there's a lot of faces obviously in the room were familiar to him, but he'd never seen us before, and I just shoved my hand out, and he took it, and then Leslie too, and then he got up on the stage and started speaking, and it was a great moment. It was an absolutely incredible moment, and he was so amazing. And we went to that workshop. We spent that weekend there, and the stories we heard, and the people we saw, and some of the health results of people were just staggering. What some people had come back from. And
I remember actually, I was so happy. Actually, I spent most of the weekend in tears. I was just crying because I just thought, I can't believe how amazing these products are, the results that it's given to people, the life, they've given life back to people who felt like they could give up on their lives. And then they found Herbalife, and it was like, thank goodness Herbalife brought me to this situation now. And everyone was jumping about, being happy and smiling and clapping, and we were crying. Yeah. And it was It was
There was this. I mean, there's this girl
amazing amount of
This is an important thing about Herbalife, by the way. When we are talking to people, we tell stories, and because facts, people tend to like they maybe they get a bit of it, or maybe they don't, and if they do, they tend to forget it or forget half of it. But it's a story tends to just go like plonk into somebody's mind, and then it kind of stays there forever. And some of those stories have remained with me forever. I mean, there was this couple from Austin, Texas. Do you remember this girl? She had really bad, diabetic condition was so severe that she actually was in a wheelchair, and she'd over time, of course, this had reversed. And she was able to walk, and she was able to walk onto the stage, and thank Mark, just like, oh, so there's big tearful moments. And then there was that fabulous woman, somebody McDonald.
Julia
McDonald, yeah, and this woman, she'd
been a school dinner lady,
a satellite cook, which is a school dinner lady, in Columbus, Ohio, and which is not the highest paid job in the world. And you can imagine what the pension is like. And she'd been really terribly overweight, and in the end, her daughter had paid all this money for her to get a stomach bypass. And there's this point where she was dying, and they said, "You've got to reverse this." And the doctor, he reversed it, and he said, "Well," he said, "I don't know if you're going to do." He said, "Without this, and she said, I'm going to try this Herbalife stuff that I heard about." He said, "Well, without, what's a load of rubbish doing that?" He says, "You'll be dead," he said, "without, if you should have continued without what I'm doing, this stomach bypass thing, without it, you're going to be dead." And she said, "Well, and she's slim and cute looking, this lady. She's about now she lost about 105 pounds. She was slim, she was cute." And she said, a couple of years later, he died. The surgeon died, and I'm still here. And she was a cute girl. She was very flirtatious, wasn't she? And all the guys were clumping around her to get her photograph and get their photographs taken with her. And she was, she was so cute. She really was.
And the best part is,
what's that?
She's on the Millionaire team.
Oh yeah, she was on the Millionaire team. And so that's the thing. She was 73 years old, and she was on the Millionaire team, and she'd flown down from Columbus and all this kind of thing. She had more money than she'd ever had in her entire life. And she was one cool lady. Yeah. So that's enough. We could go on, by the way, but no, let's keep it brief. But those are just some of the people that we.
So we're moving on. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's great. So there's lots of stories. I'm going to be a little bit more brief now, but this was a very exciting moment for me. Possibly still wearing the same top, I see. So it was chronologically that was about the time. Within my first year in Herbalife, we went to Israel. I went to Israel with my sponsor, actually, because Herbalife was opening up in Israel and my sponsor was Israeli. And but Mark also came to open up. Obviously, he was there to set the whole company up. And we wound up one evening in this tiny little bar. And in this picture here, Mark is there with a tambourine in his hand, and so am I. Can't quite see my hand. We are actually standing on chairs. And, oh yes, you can see the back of the chair there. And we were dancing this kind of, Hebrew type of, that stuff. And Mark looks over at me and he goes, "Oh my God, I don't want to have these pictures taken of me because what are people going to think?" But, he just carried on blithely. And down in this woman down here smiling, he's looking down at this blonde lady. She came and sat at the table with us, a tiny little table where only 3 people could sit around. And I thought she was a distributor. And I said, "Oh, hi, what are you here to do? Are you in whose team are you in or whatever?" And she said, "Oh, well, we're just planning the wedding." And I said, "Oh, who are you getting married to?" And she said, "Mark." I was so naive. I had no idea. That was his future wife there. She was following him around. It's probably why he was looking at her over his shoulder. But yeah, so, you know, this is the kind of idea of the sort of things that we got up to there. Next, next picture. You love this. We took this specially because, can you get that can of Formula One, which is by the television, I think, in the picture. We took this picture particularly because we used to laugh about the Herbalife couple on the old Formula One cans. So we got ourselves dressed up and posing in a position to be like the Herbalife couple. Can you see this? Let's put it up by the camera here. So there's, not too high, that's it. There's the Herbalife couple on the can. And can you see the similarity? The only difference was we wanted to be holding a cup of tea.
English, but to be British. So there we are.
So this picture became famous and it went into the Herbalife Journal. And they didn't, I used to say, my story was I used to be an infant teacher. And they didn't get infant teacher because that's too American. So I had to be called a primary school teacher. And they wrote my story in there. And yeah, there it is. Okay. So next page. Yeah, and one of the most important things that we did was we used to go to supervisor workshops every single month. There would be a supervisor workshop with...
After that, we started having them in the UK.
That's right. So every time Herbalife opened up in a new country, there would be a series of supervisor workshops. There'd be the opening, and then once a month there'd be a supervisor workshop. Because the way Herbalife marketing plan used to work would be to become a supervisor, you would need to do 4,000 points as you do today, but you'd have to do it in 1 month. So it was a little bit more difficult, you might say, but people would have to have a reason to get to supervisor, a focus on why they wanted to qualify for supervisor. And it was always because it was going to be the next supervisor workshop coming up with special guest, in this case, Jim Rohn. You can see me in 2 photographs with Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn would come back to the UK every kind of 6 months or so. Mark Hughes would come to the UK every 3 months or so. Larry Thompson, the vice president, would come to the UK again every about 3 or 4 months. And every now and again, kind of like today we have extravaganzas, but in those days we didn't have extravaganzas. We had the supervisor workshop. And if you were a newly qualified supervisor, you got to go to the next supervisor workshop. And that's how we built our business. We would go out and we would recruit approximately 10 people a month. That was what Mark told us to do. Recruit 10 people a month, sell products as well to customers, and teach your new people how to sell to customers and to recruit new people. And the deal was talk to 10 people about the products every day, talk to 10 people about the business every day, and aim to recruit 10 people a month. And out of those people that you recruit each month, you would talk to them about how serious they were about building a business. And if they were serious, they would want to be supervisors, because that's when you start getting to the levels of earning commissions, royalties. And I don't even think we had bonuses in those days. No production bonus then. But people would then do whatever it took to get to the supervisor level, to do their 4,000 volume points in order to qualify for the next supervisor workshop, which was going to have Jim Rohn or Mark Hughes or Larry Thompson coming in to talk to them and do the training. And that's what we did over and over and over and over again to build our teams. And, you know, if I'm talking to those of you here that I assume are people who really want to build your business, the way to build your business is pretty much exactly the same. And that is to create as many people in your team as members. And out of in the example that I gave, the 10 members that we would recruit each month, about 2 or 3 out of the 10 would be serious people. And out of those 2 or 3, you generally would get 1 or 2 supervisors. That was the kind of rough framework within which we would work. Recruit 10 people to get 1 or 2 new supervisors per month. Now, the Herbalife marketing plan is very clever, because when you have supervisors in your team, that is it's only then that you get to earn royalties. But you only earn royalties if you yourself have done some work and created some personal volume. As you know, that hasn't changed. Now, if you want to see momentum in your business, and I'm giving you a few clues here about how you can build your business today, it's exactly the same. If you're a supervisor and you have somebody under you who's a supervisor, who's doing business, you will start picking up royalties based on that downline supervisor's volume of turnover of business, their PV, their personal volume. So in order to collect royalties, you personally need to have 2,500 volume points. And that can be made up of your own retail sales or the members that you recruit and their volume. So there is a momentum built into the marketing plan.
To clarify, you need to do 2,500 volume points every single month in order to receive your royalties every single month. It's not like a one-time only qualification.
Absolutely right. Yeah, the 4,000 was a one-time only, get yourself to supervisor with 4,000 points. But in order to receive royalties each month, 2,500 volume points to pick up your royalty check.
Your full
royalty check. Thank you. So if you just think about those two facts, in other words, building downline supervisors, as well as doing 2,500 personal volume in order to pick up your royalties, there is a natural momentum built into the system. It means that everybody has to think, oh, I've got supervisors, I want to pick up my royalties, so I've got to do 2,500 volume points. How am I going to do that? I'll make some sales, I'll recruit some people, and I'll get some people to qualify as supervisors. Okay, so that momentum is there. Now for me, the most obvious thing, which is not always obvious to people, is to have as much product use yourself as possible. Because that's the number one thing in Herbalife, use the products. Now, if you're using the shake once, you can have an experience to say, oh yes, I've tried the shake. Oh yes, I've had that energy product or whatever. You know, that's kind of like the theory of it is like, I know what it tastes like. I've done that. I've tasted it, been there, done that, tick. That's one way of doing it.
I know how easy it is to open a can.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you could do that. But then again, if you think about it, Herbalife is like your own shop. So I remember Mark Hughes telling us a story once on stage. He said he was busy working and he didn't have time to get any shampoo. So he asked one of his staff members, oh, can you get me some shampoo? And they said to him, oh, yeah, sure. What brand do you take? And he thought, well, Herbalife brand. Herbalife makes shampoo. I'm not going to go and buy it from whatever drugstore down the road. I'm going to have my Herbalife shampoo. And when he told us that, we realized that not everybody realizes that Herbalife is your own shop. So whatever you can do, buy the stuff from your own shop. So it just made sense that Herbalife has all the food that you can possibly eat. Of course, we still love food, yes. But, you know, if you're taking your shake for breakfast and taking it for lunch, and you're having your meal bars and your protein bars, and you're washing with your shampoo, and you're using the conditioner and your body wash and your facial creams and everything else, and you're drinking the aloe and drinking the tea and providing it to all your family members as well, well, how much volume is that you've created straight away? You know, you're at least 500 volume points every month, done and dusted.
And in doing that, the other issue, of course, is how much money have you saved?
Oh,
because
true.
That's this other thing. That,
when you're at 50%, everything's half price anyway.
I mean, say you're at retail price, you weren't even a member at all, and you're on a weight loss program, you know, Formula 1, Formula 2, T, something like that. You know, you basically, it's costing you about £1.50 a meal for the most nutritious products on the planet. Whereas, you know, you go to McDonald's, most people, you know, if you ask most people the question, is McDonald's cheap or expensive? They'll say, well, it's cheap. Now, a McDonald's costs £3 for a nutrition-free meal for children. Now, so that means if you actually, as I'm sure you, many of you on the call have already noticed, that when you're actually using the products, you actually spend less money. and your customers are spending less money than they were otherwise spending. Now, if on top of that, you're at 50% discount as well. It's the way to get rich is two things. One, make money. Two, don't spend it. Now, that's the way to do it. That's the way to make your business and your personal budget efficient. So you're actually going to save a fortune by using products anyway. And on top of that, of course, the other thing is you sell what you use. So the more products you use, the more products you're actually going to find yourself selling to other people.
Okay, great. So moving on. Lovely. So here's a cue. When we do what we do, which is basically get more supervisors and more customers and more members, then the next thing to focus on, and this is what we focused on right from the beginning, was to qualify for everything. Whatever Herbalife puts in front of you, that is a sensible target to go for. Herbalife don't put qualifications just for the fun of it. If you just trust what they've put in place and realize that if you qualify for an event, you will definitely advance your business. And there is the other thing, that even if you don't qualify for something fully, but you had a go at it, your business would be further ahead. Like if you tried and failed, like if you wanted to do, in this case, the qualification was 10,000 volume points in a single month plus 2 supervisors. Well, I achieved that, which is why we ended up at this chateau, which I'll tell you about in a second. But if say I had only done 8,000 volume points and had 1 new supervisor and didn't qualify for the event, guess what? I'm still way further ahead than I would have been if I was only focusing on 2,500 volume points to pick up my royalties. So what I'm saying is, whatever the event, whatever the qualification, go the heck for it. Just make sure that that's what you're focusing on. Pull out all the stops, work your plan, set your goals, and focus on qualifying. So here we are having a wonderful time, having qualified with a couple of team members of ours as well, which is another key point. If you have team members, don't just qualify for something yourself, get your team members to come along with you. And, that's how they build their business, but it's also the smart way of building your check. So here we are. We were, I think by this time we were on the global expansion team already. We had Helen and Harry Bentley, who were also global expansion team members. And we used to travel all over the place together. We'd go to Monte Carlo together. We'd be on all these different trips everywhere around the world. Milan, Rome, Madrid, Paris. Every time a new country opened up, we'd be there and we'd be qualifying for all the events. So here at the chateau, they had this string quartet playing to welcome us. They took these coach loads of us out to the chateau on the outskirts of Paris. There was a hot air balloon here, as you can see, which was a bit of a windy day. So I'm afraid we didn't actually manage to have too many flights on that going up, because that's for safety reasons. However, we did have a few other things. If Lucy can flip the slide. We were greeted by a flame-throwing gentleman and some other people on stilts and jugglers and musicians. There's a picture of the chateau itself.
Yeah. That's not the new Herbalife product.
No. And here's they laid out a buffet, sit-down meal. There's all these tables here for all the qualifiers to sit down and eat in the grounds. We had archery, clay pigeon shooting. And the next slide might show.
I can't remember lots of them.
Oh, it didn't show the helicopter, but anyway, Mark and Larry came and down on a helicopter to greet us, to land outside the chateau there. So that was great fun. And then this is a photograph taken. The one on the left is a photograph taken of Tim, Alan Lorenz, Lucy, and me. And we're actually on a cruise. This would have been the Caribbean cruise, I think. Yeah. And
on a ship called the Oceanic.
That's it.
Which, of course, all the Herbalife distributors renamed the Titanic.
Just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun of it. It was lovely. We had such a good time. It was so lovely. It was, and there were 2 boats. This is the thing. We had a lot of qualified on this boat, and actually, more people. So many people qualified. There wasn't enough places on the boat. So there was this big, enormous boat. And then there was a small boat, and that was the one we were on. And it was lovely because actually it was a kind of classic cruise ship from back in the day, old school, and it was really charming and really lovely. And there are only about 400 on this. You get these modern ships, there's like 2,000 people on or more, and they're really nice. We've been on those things, but this one, about 400 people, and it was so intimate and so lovely. And there you are, you can just see us. We're just having the loveliest time.
And another lovely photo of me and Mark. Next.
Yeah, next.
Oh yeah. Then we went to 1996, another getaway vacation. We went to Tenerife. There we are on the beach in Tenerife. Moving on. Lucy learning to swim. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. There was a back one, please, Lucy, because I just wanted to show Lucy and I love to have a dance on a big dance floor. That's where we started, and we've never stopped, really. As you all saw last weekend, Lucy and I still love to dance together. Thank you. And then that's us having dinner. And this is quite a strange picture because it was this huge event, huge sort of celebration. And they put on this show where these women were dressed in these amazing feathers and peacock-like things, and Lucy, as you can see, was quite in awe of it all. We popped her up on the stage. I think that's my profile there, actually. Yeah. Popped her up on the stage so that we could say, look at that. She goes, wow, Mummy. So Lucy's childhood, full of this sort of thing. And Lucy's also very good at posing on stairs. That's where she gets it from. That was also in the hotel in Tenerife. This is in a volcanic, what's it called? Crater. The crater, the flat brown bit behind Tim and Lucy is the crater of a volcano. And then Lucy burnt her thighs. She just reminded me on the seat of the leather seat of the camel saddle. And she said, it was hot. It was just like when I got into the leather seat of my car today with the sun burning down on our bare legs.
It was actually pure metal. It wasn't the seat.
It was metal, was it? Oh,
sorry. My God!
It was the leather seat in Venice, wasn't it? On the gondola in Venice, which is not in this picture. Moving on. Okay. And as Lucy points out, not too many children actually get to Disney World twice in their first 5 years of life. But we did. Lucy did. So here we are on the left. Tim, myself, Lucy, and my sister Barbara. Herbalife, on that occasion, had what they called a kids' convention. So there was a place where all the kids could just play while the parents were in the meeting. And they had a kind of a creche system, and they had people who would look after them, toys and everything. Lucy was really small then, but we were able to leave her there to play with all the kids and do their thing. And then Herbalife actually bought over Disney World for the day. And we as Herbalife distributors just had our free ticket, and we could go around and do all the things in Disney World, for the day. And that was the time that Lucy met Mickey Mouse for the first time. And she was completely in love from then on. And so a few years later, so looking at the picture on the right, Lucy's a bit older there, when we'd qualified for yet another cruise out of Florida. It was out of Orlando. We spent an extra week in Disney World before getting onto the cruise around Orlando. So, around the Caribbean islands, that was. Okay, next. And there we are in the Caribbean islands. We were in the rainforest in San Juan. Lucy wanting to get hold of the camera again. Me doing my being blown in the wind on the ocean.
King of the world.
Yeah, and Lucy taking the helm with a captain's helmet on. The ship. Yep. And here we are, the chef. They had the great big carving of the Herbalife logo in some kind of food. I'm not sure what that was. Some big food object. And we've had some ice sculptures as well on some occasions in the Herbalife logo. But I don't know what that one is there. But the chefs took a liking to Lucy there, as you would. And here we are on the deck of the ship, about to do a bit of swimming. And this I wanted to include because, you know, Mark Hughes used to send us Christmas cards every year for the family photo in. Oh, you know, you just felt like you were part of his family. He just had so much love for all of us, and he had so much time for us. So, yeah, every Christmas we'd get a Christmas card. And then, yeah, when Mark first met Lucy, he was so thrilled to meet her because, you know, I'd already been in Herbalife for 5 years, and I told him that I was expecting, and this was like just a year or so after he and his wife had their baby, and he was so thrilled that he held up a long queue of people who were waiting to see him just to show us some baby photos of him and Alexander. And he said, it's the most amazing thing that can ever happen in your life.
We've been, we're in this room in Paris, and there were 700 people queuing up to have a photo with Mark. Yeah. And the thing was, he suddenly just spent this time with us, and those 700 people, nobody complained, nobody fidgeted. The respect that people had for Mark was just absolutely incredible. Nobody minded. And then suddenly, one of these innate had to. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. And then we moved on from there and said goodbye to Mark and so on. That was what happened at that moment. Sorry, go on.
Okay. So I think this could be the last slide.
Yes.
Is that right?
All of the photos, just to kind of paint a picture of.
Right. Okay. So now we actually want to move on to now that you've got the background of. It's not even my full story because there's a lot more that goes into
Tiny
that.
bits.
But, you know, we need to talk a little bit more about actually building your businesses as well, now that you've got the flavor of my experience and where I'm coming from. So I hope that was entertaining for you, so you've got some sort of background idea about who we are as a team and how we can work together. What I want to say at the moment is that where we're at today is a really, really wonderful place for all of you, because when we started, you know, to be able to talk to 10 people a day and to be able to sign up 10 people a month, what we actually did was we would use the products, of course, we would wear our badges, we'd go out and try and talk to 10 people, but it's not always that easy to engage with 10 proper conversations per day about the
business, 10 about
and the business, exactly. And so we would also add on to this, rather like what you people do today with Instagram, or we do today with Instagram, is that we would put out approximately 500 flyers a day. So you talk about 500 messages, well, we were putting out flyers every day. So the comparison is such that you can actually realize that whatever it is, you've got to find a way of talking to people. And if you think, oh, it's a bit tough to put out, you know, 20, 40 messages a day on Instagram, you want to think about what it's like when you want to put out 500 flyers a day.
In a blizzard.
I'm going to say, well, it's pouring with rain, the snow's happening, you know, and we did it every day for at least 5 years, okay? Because there was no internet. We had to put these flyers out, and then we had to get back to pick up the phone calls because there were no mobile phones, okay? So the landline was where we would go to for our calls. Then we would have to invite people to come along to some meeting, and we had meetings on Tuesday evenings, Thursday evenings, and Saturday morning trainings. So 3 times a week we'd be heading down to the meeting in the hope that the guests that we spoke to on the phone that had picked up our flyers would actually turn up at the meeting. And if they didn't turn up, well, start again. Go out and do it again. So day in, day out, we had our routine of plugging people into the Tuesday, the Thursday meeting. So on Monday, you're putting out flyers, you're answering the phone calls. On Tuesday, you're putting out flyers, answering phone calls, and plugging people in. Hey, come along to our meeting. Write this down. I'm going to meet you there at so-and-so place, and all the different hotels that we would go to around London to meet our people and to have our Herbalife presentations. So today, what have you got? You've got the Facebook page where people can just go and look at the extra income opportunity stories, the body goals. Then the customers. Now you've got the 30-day challenge today. When we got a customer, we'd have to drag our backsides down to deliver the products to the customer, and then follow up equals fortune. Well, you spend every evening from about 6 o'clock to about 8 o'clock, which is kind of like when people have got in from work, trying to call people. You've got everything in a little box file. Everybody's got a card index thing. So you had the person's name, their telephone number, and their address, and the date, day 1, day 3, day 7, when you needed to ring them up and follow them up. If you could get hold of them on the phone, that would be cool. But if you couldn't, you'd have to put them back in the box so that tomorrow you try and call them again. No WhatsApp messages, no voicemail, no emails, no texting. You had to pick up the phone and call them between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
And the telephone was very expensive then.
Oh yes, telephone calls were expensive. You actually had to pay for calls.
And
So,
a lot.
a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of money.
So today, you're laughing. Anybody who tells me, oh, it's too hard to put out flyers, oh, I talk to everybody I know and nobody wants to buy my products, you know, they're not serious. They're seriously not thinking about just having focus, deciding to qualify for something, believing in what you're doing. This is the most amazing company in the world. I thank my lucky stars or the universe, whatever. I am so grateful that I met this man, Mark Hughes, and this remarkable company, because there is not another thing that I could possibly imagine doing that would even come close to what Herbalife has given me today. And, you know, if I've got time to just kind of like wrap it up, I'll answer other questions later on, like what G.E.T team looks like and things like that. But what I'd like to say is that I was working as a teacher for 15 years when I came across Herbalife, and I really didn't know whether this was going to be the thing for me. But I took a chance because I'd met Mark Hughes and I knew that he was a good guy. He was more than a good guy. He was a very special individual who really knew where he was going. He had the vision. And with that, I gave up my job as a teacher. Every day when it was tough and I was doing flyers and I was talking to people and I was slogging it out, I thought to myself, well, I could be teaching. Would I rather do this or would I rather teach? And I can tell you 100 times over, doing Herbalife was easier and more fulfilling and a whole lot more fun than teaching. So when it was tough, I reminded myself what my choices were. I could go back to teaching if I wanted to, but I never wanted to. Never, ever, not one day. Not only did Herbalife give me tremendous good health, but also at the age of 42 minus 1 month, I had Lucy, which is pushing it for having a baby. And it was one of the most healthy, wonderful pregnancies I could have even imagined. It then allowed me and Tim just to stay at home and carry on doing our business. We didn't have to go anywhere to a job. We were still just carrying on what we were doing. By this time, we were receiving our royalties. And we were able actually to take a little bit of a back seat, just like keep the 2,500 volume points rolling over, but recruiting some people. And every now and again, by recruiting people, these volumes would come in. And that's how we were constantly being rewarded by having a vacation, qualifying for vacation year after year after year. We carried on just doing what we were doing, enjoying what we were doing, but Herbalife was rewarding us for what we were doing with an income that surpassed my job, with a lifestyle that I couldn't have imagined, where I could just be my own boss and come and go as I please, take Lucy to school, have a lovely day, pick her up, go to all sorts of adventures together, go dancing, go swimming, go drama classes, gym, whatever she wanted to do. We were always doing stuff together. Most people work for 50 weeks a year so that they can take because they can save up and take the 2 weeks off to go on holiday. we were like permanently having fun. And then Herbalife gives us a holiday for doing the thing that we love doing, that we're having fun doing. So, I mean, completely off the scale compared with what I could have had in the last 30 years of my life. And in the meantime, hey, we kind of took our foot off the pedal a little bit because we got so much in the comfort zone. But now we can see how simple things are, and just taking advantage of all the technology, the easiest way of talking to people, the enormity of Herbalife Nutrition now being the #1 company in the world for nutrition. I mean, when we started, it was like, what's that Herbalife thing? Yeah. Nowadays, people say, oh, Herbalife, yeah, I've been looking for that. I want some good nutrition, or whatever it is. And when you tell them about it, they love it. So where we've come from to where we are today is massive. But in the meantime, even though we struggled in the beginning, we have had the best life that I could possibly dream of to give to anybody. I would happily offer people this Herbalife opportunity, because I would not have a doubt that it can only improve your life 1,000,000,000%, if that makes any sense. Percent. So we've been able to just live the life we want, and you know, the sky's the limit. I think that's what I wanted to. Yeah,
pretty good. That's good enough.
That's good enough.
The limit.
Yeah, so enough. The sky's the limit, and you know, we're always working, we're always improving, because you know that's what life's about. The minute you stop working on yourself and your business, you know, you might as well put yourself into a box under the ground somewhere, because life is for living and life is for achieving. And every time, every first of the month, there's a new goal and a new direction and more growth, and people that you can welcome into your heart and to your lives and to your business to change their lives for the better. I mean, what could be better? What could be better than improving people's lives in the happiest, healthiest way, and make huge amounts of money as well?
Do you mind if I sort of interview you for a couple of minutes and just sort of ask you some questions?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
We only require a very short answer so we can get through a lot of them.
Okay.
So how many months did it take you to qualify as a supervisor?
1.
Okay.
That was a short answer.
That was a great answer. How long did it take you to go full-time in Herbalife?
1 month.
So
I joined in July, 7th of July. By the end of July, I was a supervisor. By the first weekend in August, we went to Dallas. And by about the middle of August, I had quit my job.
So what did you do to do that?
What did I do?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
How did you achieve the volume in the business in order to be able to do that?
Well, in those days, as I said, it needed to be 4,000 volume points pretty much in one month, right? So what I did was I went to what they call 40% in those days. Do we have 40%? We don't have 40% now, but 40% was 800 volume points. Because what I was doing while I was working, I had my badge on, I was using the product myself, and I was putting out flyers on my way to work at London Bridge Station, train in London Bridge Station, and I just put the flyers out wearing my badge. Nobody really talked to me about the badge. Nobody knew. They just thought I was nuts, I think. And I couldn't wear it at work, so I took the badge off when I went to work, went into the office, that is. And I wasn't teaching at the time, by the way. I was just doing a bit of financial consulting in the city, just trying to find another way. And I would talk to people at work. My manager at work bought some products from me because he saw me losing weight. The girl in the mortgage department also had some kind of problem with her digestion. A couple of other people bought things like shampoo and energy products. And then I told my mum about it, and my mum used some of the products, started feeling quite good, and people were asking her, and she said, oh, I don't know, just ask my daughter. And she would kind of send people to me. And then my mother's a queen of Tupperware. So she used to always have Tupperware parties as I was growing up. So she said, oh, I'll invite a bunch of people over like I would for a Tupperware party. And she invited about 10 people. And I did a presentation knowing nothing and made some sales. Still knowing nothing. It really was like, I'm taking this, it's quite nice. Why don't you try it? It was like that. And those people, I looked after them. I followed them up and plenty of phone calls. And they would say, oh, my husband needs to lose a bit of weight. My son's got a little bit of eczema. My daughter's having difficulty concentrating at school. Have you got anything for that? And I was literally creating more and more sales that way. So I ordered about 800 volume points for these people, and I got myself to 40%. And then it was coming to the end of the month, and the supervisor workshop was like, oh, you can go to the supervisor workshop if you can do 4,000 points. So I looked at my savings account in the building society. I'm not going to lie. I just thought I had about £2,000 in that account that I'd saved up over the last 15 years of working as a teacher. The amount of interest that I was making was microscopic, but it was more than interest today, by the way, in savings accounts. It was about 5 or 6%. And I thought, well, if I bought all these Herbalife products and I made 4,000 points, I would make 42%, because the first 4,000 is at 42%. And if it took me a whole year to sell this, I would get my money back with 42% profit, kind of like instead of leaving it in the building society and making 4 or 5% interest. So I took a gamble. I thought 1 year, hey, why not? And I bought those products and I became a supervisor by the end of July. So then I was entitled to go to the supervisor workshop, and the rest, as they say, is history. I had all this product sitting. We had to buy them in cases of 12 of everything. So I had boxes of Formula One in 12s. If you can imagine, when you've had a big box delivery, I had 10 boxes delivered, all stacked on top of each other. And everyone who walked into the house had to squeeze past these boxes. So I got to talk to them about, oh, this is my new business. Do you want to see my shakes and my tablets? And within a couple of months, I'd sold it all anyway. And from then on, I never did less than 2,500 points.
Awesome.
And now it's easy to get to supervisor. I mean, hey, 4,000 points over 12 months, this is silly. Baby work. I mean, people are sissies.
Okay. Do you want to share a little bit about Paris? I mean, yeah, Paris.
Coming up?
No, the Paris when you lived there for 6 months.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yes. So I'd been to Israel, as you know. Tim had gone to build some business in Taiwan as well. And did we go anywhere else to build business? Not particularly. Everything else was kind of over the phone and fax and stuff. But so there was this opportunity to go to Paris. And I was actually 7 months pregnant at this point. And everything's no problem. When you're on Herbalife, you know, it's no problem. And so we decided, yeah, let's go to Paris and have a great time before the baby's born. This little Mabel that was inside of us. That was Lucy's nickname before she was born. And we did running about in Paris, which actually, by the way, in Paris, it rains more than it does in London. So we were running some ads. We were doing flyers in French. We were doing meetings in French. Bonjour, je m'appelle Leslie. Je suis 7 mois enceinte, which means I'm 7 months pregnant. And, you know, a little bit, enough French just to be able to give a testimonial. And Tim actually gave a meeting as well.
Yeah.
And,
just quickly, I gave this meeting in French, and it went down very well, I'm glad to say. But there's one point where I told everybody, you know, about how wonderful the products were, and that there were no, what I wanted to say was there's no preservatives, you know, no artificial preservatives in the products. So I said, il n'y a pas de préservatif dans le produit. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't quite translate. Actually, preservative in French means a condom. So I told these people there were no condoms in the Formula One. but really,
Everyone was giggling.
That was the best bit. That was the bit that everybody loved.
They never laughed at that in England. Whenever you said there was no preservatives, everyone goes, But in France, they all laugh. So yeah, we had a lot of fun in France, and we had a little office, and we had a beautiful apartment in the 16th arrondissement, and we were just recruiting people and building our business there. It was great fun. And then so Paris is a wonderful, wonderful city. I'm looking forward to going back there in the summer and in September. And I've qualified, and I think there's a few other people on the call who've qualified too. Hands up if you've qualified. Yeah, well done. And if you haven't qualified yet, hands up if you will be qualifying. Hands up if you're intending to qualify for Paris. Yay, that's it. So we're going to help you to get there because, hey, it's easy to do. You've just got to focus on what you want to do and have a lot of fun with it, Don't make life too serious. Every day, just enjoy the journey, You're the healthiest people in the world, and you're soon going to be the wealthiest people in the world. So, yeah. Next question.
I mean, that was amazing. Maybe shall we take a few questions from everybody else on the call? If anyone's got a burning question that they want to ask you.
Okay. I mean, I'm aware of the fact that it's 10 o'clock and we said we were going to finish at 10, but if people have burning questions, I'm happy to, answer them.
Yeah.
So go for it. Do they have to unmute themselves, or can you unmute anybody?
They can unmute.
What we got?
Well, it's a good talk, Everyone's obviously very clear.
Come on, someone must have a question. There's no such thing as a bad question.
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Hey!
Oh, Marina.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. First of all, just wow, thank you for just taking us on that memory lane. It just blew my mind. Wow. Like, them pictures of Mark, I said to Lucy yesterday, it's like he's looking right into your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, he's powerful, he's looking at me. He's looking at me. But, so yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm just curious, out of your entire time being involved with Herbalife Nutrition, what is your all-time favorite moment? Is there a specific day or event or something that happened? What's like your favorite ultimate moment in Herbalife?
I think obviously it's going to be moments that involve Mark. Mark has always been very special to us. And favorite moment with Mark would be difficult. Well, I have to say something about Mark being so special because, when there's thousands of distributors and the business, Herbalife was growing over the years, you find yourself thinking, well, he can't remember every single person, because there's just so many people to remember.
Yeah.
But the thing was, when he'd come down for a meeting of any sort, and Tim was saying there'd be the Rocky theme, da 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 da, the spotlight, the room would be dark.
Yeah.
It would be the spotlight. Yeah, that's right. And he'd be coming down from the top, and people go, Mark, Mark, Mark. He'd come down, and and the audience is all like jumping about and having a wonderful time. And you're getting more and more and more and more excited by the whole thing. And then he would, as he came down, come into the audience and look at you. And he'd actually looked at me right in the eye and say, thank you so much for coming. Good to see you again. And you think, whoa, he still remembers me. I mean, I didn't expect to be remembered by him. I don't know, but obviously he did, and so it was so moving and so touching. But you know, whenever we do anything big in Herbalife, I say it to Lucy, and I should say it more to some of you guys, that, you know, I say, Mark would be so proud of you. But I genuinely mean it. Mark would be proud of each and every individual, because this is his dream. And Mark set up Herbalife for there to be a Herbalife shake in every single kitchen around the world, so that people come along and they come to your house and you say, would you like coffee, tea, or Herbalife? And they're going to have the Herbalife in the cupboard, right? In our house, we don't have coffee or tea. We have, you know, Herbalife tea. Tim's sister came to visit the other day. You know, you want a cup of tea? Yeah, sure. Put the kettle on. Herbalife tea. We don't ask, you know, Assam or PG Tips or whatever. So it's already happening. So we are the messengers of Mark's dream. And when you get one more person on the product, and when you get one more person signed up into the business, and you teach them how to show someone how to use the product, Mark would be proud of you. Grateful for what you're doing. And if he was there to see you and meet you and hold your hand and shake it and give you a hug, he would say, thank you, Marina, for helping us to bring my dream around the world. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Special person.
Very special person.
When we saw him, they had a big meeting. We filled the Albert Hall with distributors and guests.
Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah.
And Mark was fantastic, because after at the end of the show, of the evening, when it was all done, he came down into the auditorium, and people just flocked around him, and he spoke to every single person that wanted to speak to him. And this is the amazing thing. Yeah. Imagine how many beautiful girls there were in the room, who all, you know, were titivating their hair and all wanted, oh, Mark, you know, and all wanted to be able to talk to Mark, which is great. And the thing is, he was completely unfazed by this. He was there. If it was your turn to speak to Mark, if it was your turn to speak to Mark, he would look at you and he would listen to what you had to say, and he'd give you his time, and he was absolutely 100% focused on you. So the room's full of hundreds of other people, and they're all out there. It's you, and he would give his time to you. And he was just fantastic. And everybody who we saw all said the same thing. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He was just listening to me. And all he wanted to do was listening to me and to talk to me and tell me what I needed to know. And he would do that. And he did not leave the Albert Hall. He did not leave until every single solitary distributor that wanted to talk to him had talked to him. When everyone had been spoken to, everyone had been listening to, and everyone had been given that personal time, then, only then, did he leave and go home. He was
very special man. Yeah, I talked about the whole Rocky coming down, but he didn't leave in a flourish like that. He would stay.
Yeah.
And say goodbye to the very last person. Rather like when you have a party in your house, you don't go before all the guests have gone. Or he would wait until all the guests, all the distributors had gone, and then he'd just know that, okay, the party's over now.
And I'd like to add actually that as a child, when I didn't understand, the scale of Herbalife nutrition. I didn't understand it fully. I just remember the people who were there in my life, and Mark was one of them. I just assumed he was one of your friends. There was Helen and Harry, who are obviously your global expansion team members in the team, and all of the other members of the team, and your Herbalife friends, like other people who weren't in your team, but the friends that we used to go on holiday with every year, and their children, and Mark, and Jim.
Yeah.
Like, in my childhood memory, Mark Hughes and Jim Rohn were two of your male friends.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because, as you say, they would give that level of treating you like the person that you are, rather than treating you like you're one of 1,000 or one of 10,000, however many members there were in those days. And I remember Mum took me to the stage when I was little. It was the year that protein bars had been released, had been launched.
Yep.
And it was the only thing that I had, the only thing that we had on us at that point. Huh?
I've still got the wrapper. I'll show it to you.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You know where it is?
Tell the story. I know exactly where
Oh
it is.
my god! So I remember vividly. I have no idea how old I was, but I was so little. I remember being little that Mum needed to pick me up so that I could reach Mark Hughes, who was stood on the stage. So she picked me up above her head.
Yeah.
And I reached out. He's there signing autographs, and I held out my protein bar. Is it like a chocolate fudge one from the US?
Yeah.
Like a flavor we don't have in Europe. And he signed my protein bar. Do you have it there?
I have it here in a folder. I'll get it out in a second. Next to the Mark Hughes training tape.
Oh.
So, can you see this?
I haven't. There it is.
Right. And this is the bar, the
That's how it looked
Thermogetics.
then.
Yes.
But protein bars.
Cool about that.
Oh,
Kind of shiny as well, isn't it? It's got-
yeah.
I'm so glad you kept that.
Yeah, Thermogetics protein bar. What flavor does it say?
Let's have a
Does it
look.
say the year, like the expiry date, so we know how old it is?
It's got the Thermo Man on it.
Yeah, must be pretty
So
old.
yeah, I mean, you just thought of Mark as, oh, he's up on stage today. Like, sometimes Lorenz would get on stage.
Yeah, and Lorenz was another friend of mine. Now he's a Founders Circle member. I just saw him as like one of your friends.
Yeah.
One of
Mummy would be on stage sometimes training people.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, you just thought, okay,
and Mum, yeah, she'd be on stage.
that's what you do. Yeah,
So yeah.
that's what you do.
So any tips that you could share just to wrap up the call, unless anyone else has thought of a question? If anyone wants to unmute themselves if they have a question. But while they're doing that, if you could just share, your tips for. Remember, we're going to talk about global expansion team and like what it actually looked like for you to qualify global expansion team.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was interesting because I was listening to a Mark Hughes training just yesterday, and he was talking about working 6 levels deep, and that's really, really important. And he was doing it just with his fingers, so you can teach anybody. This is you, and you register. You sign up somebody who signs up somebody who signs up somebody. Very often people think, oh, because the royalties stop after 3 levels, that I'm going to only work with my 3 levels. But he says you got to work 6 levels deep, because not just because if these 3 drop out, then these other guys move up, but the 3 at the bottom are the reason why the 3 at the top are doing their 2,500 every month. Yeah, if they didn't have royalties going on beneath them, they don't really need to bother. So the same goes for, when I was, you're asking for the sort of the picture of everything. What we always focused on was getting people to supervisor. That was like step 1 in building your business. It wasn't step 1. Obviously, we think about, selling the products to somebody and developing them as, users of the product. But more importantly, I would say that this plan that you've recently devised, which is the 500 plus 5, that really illustrates the best way of building your business, because it gets people to supervisor within a 2-month period. I'm not going to go into the details, but we know that. So now you're creating supervisors with downline when you do that 500 plus 5. So what I was doing was I was creating supervisors and helping them to create supervisors as well. And how do you do that? Obviously, you've got to use the products, you've got to talk to people, you've got to recruit 10 a month. Out of the 10 a month, 2 of them are going to be serious. Never mind about the other 8, because the other 8 people, either they'll drop out, or out of that, you're going to have consistent volume coming in to your own 2.5. You're creating that personal volume from those 8 people. So they're important too.
So they stay as your personal volume.
They stay as your personal volume, correct. But then the people who become supervisors, they've got to be doing the same thing. Otherwise, there's no point that, okay, I'm at 50%, but if they're not consistently, recruiting people and creating a downline, there's no point in them staying. So our focus of attention, as I said at the beginning, was next month's supervisor workshop. You need to qualify because you're never going to believe it. There's going to be the most awesome speaker and you get to go to this supervisor workshop. And people lay the deal on enough people, and some of them will say, yeah, I want to be serious in this business. I want to get to the supervisor level. And they do, right? And words have been said about, there've been certain, yeah, thanks. There've been certain people who have built their business in an unethical way. There's always going to be that. And there's going to be people who just go around telling people, buy 4,000 volume points and then you're going to get rich, which is not how we build our business. But if you were to sit down, and I've done this a few times, to sit down with people and say, look, you're a member now. Let me show you the benefit of being a supervisor. And you can take it or leave it. You can choose whether you want to do a supervisor quickly or slowly. It can take 12 months now to do it, right? But the quicker they do it, then they have their own story so that they can say, well, I got to supervisor in my very first month, which is what I can say to people. I got to supervisor in my very first month, and you can too. Let me help work with you and help you to build your team and get you up to supervisor so that by the first of next month, you're at 50%. You're earning more retail income every time you make a sale. You're making more wholesale commission every time your downline do anything, and you're entitled to royalties. So my team was built up of downlines, sometimes people that I didn't even know. So you saw Helen and Harry in those photographs at the chateau. They were actually my second line. The person that we recruited was a guy called Alan Williamson, who was a businessman, and he thought, I'm going to be big in business. And he just recruited 2 or 3 other people. And he recruited Helen and Harry at his tennis club. He recruited another guy called Alan up in Manchester, who was basically a Herbalife referral, who was a marketing consultant who'd actually researched which business is a good business to join. And he found that Herbalife was a really good business to join, and that's why he joined it. But he didn't go very far until I said to him, I'm not even going to work with you until you start using these products. It's all very well, oh, I'm a marketing consultant, me, and I know that this is a good business. No, use the products and then we'll start working with you. So he got serious, and he was turning over 5,000-6,000 volume points every single month without fail. And then there was, I said Helen, and then there was Alan Williamson also recruited Eddie Ewan in Germany, and that was a complete fluke as well. Basically, he saw somebody with a German license plate at Gatwick Airport, said, oh, our company is opening in Germany. Do you know anybody who'd like a business? And this person that he spoke to was not interested, but introduced his friend who was living in Germany, who happened to be a Scotsman, married to a German woman. I knew nothing about all of that conversation until my royalty check started arriving in Deutschmarks, like £2,000 worth of Deutschmarks. Hey, what's going on here? So, so those 3 people, 3 main supervisors, were recruited by one person that we recruited, who actually later on dropped out of the business. And so all 3 of them moved up first line to me. So that was kind of like one line of people. Another line of was Charles Campbell. Now, we were putting out flyers every day. So we put the flyers on, when it was raining, we put flyers on cars in supermarket car parks and stuff like that. And Charles didn't even own a car, but he happened to be walking through the car park as a shortcut, and he stole the flyer off somebody's windscreen.
It was a posh car.
Yeah,
he thought, maybe,
I'm going to have one of those.
Maybe it's that guy's, maybe it's the guy who owns the car's flyer.
But Charles had a very posh English accent. I remember when he phoned me up and said, ew, what's this Herbalife business all about? I thought, oh dear, I was really worried about talking to him. But anyway, Charles got started in the business, and he recruited a South African friend of his, or his sister, or somebody he knew lived in South Africa, I forget now. And he ended up with 35 people in South Africa who all qualified as supervisor and flew from Cape Town, or Johannesburg, I don't know, somewhere. Yeah. from Cape Town, like about as far away as you can fly. They all flew up to the Earl's Court, where Mark Hughes was doing a supervisor workshop. 35 of them all came up to the UK for that. We ran another ad because Thailand was opening, and we had a fax machine in those days, and people would fax their CVs through. And Alan and Carol Lorenz were going to be in Bangkok doing a meeting. So this one woman called Nida, who wanted to join the business, sent me her whole long CV, and I said, go and meet Alan and Carol Lorenz in the something or other hotel in Bangkok. And she went there. She got this whole like, whoa, this is a big business. And she recruited about 20 of her friends in the north of Thailand. And she did 29,000 volume points in her very first month, which was my personal volume, which actually helped me to qualify for the cruise, the first cruise. So like halfway there, yeah. So and then she had a whole team of people who went to World Team and all of that. Like, you know, it's about momentum. It's about excitement. It's about saying you can do this thing, you know. And it's in the belief. It's in trusting Herbalife, not questioning whether Herbalife's right or wrong or good or bad for anybody. Herbalife's awesome for anybody you talk to, and if you can put that over to people, your personal belief and excitement, it doesn't matter what they think, because you believe in what you're doing, and you will get some of the people. You won't get all of the people, but you will get some of the people. As long as you're committed to what you are doing, they will know that. But if you wake up in the morning and you think, am I a Herbalife distributor today or not? I'll wait until and see if this customer calls me, then I'll decide. That's not committed. If you get up in the morning and you go, right, I wonder how much I've got to do today to get closer to my 10,000 this month, because I want to go on that vacation, because Herbalife put this qualification in place and I'm going to do it no matter what. If it kills me in the process, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have my shake and I'm going to take all the tablets that I can take, more tablets, 5 times more tablets, you know. I'm going to get branded up. I'm going to look so amazing. I'm going to have wonderful hair. I'm going to have beautiful nails. I'm going to be out there that people look at me and they go, what are you on?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's it.
Built on excitement. You hear that a lot, don't you? I built my business on excitement.
Excitement.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like Cristiano Ronaldo says, I am the brand.
I am the brand. So but I also want to emphasize to you that everybody today has got it so easy. So easy. This is not a tough business. This is an easy business anyway, that anybody can do, that anyone with a desire has got the best products in the world, the most amazing marketing plan in the world. Why wouldn't you want to put those two things together and tell people about it? The only thing that holds you back is you. That is the only thing that holds you back. Nothing else counts.
Absolutely. I'd like to just add, and a picture came into my head because of what you're saying about how we've never had it so easy. I'd just like to propose a little theory to everyone on the call. If somebody came into your life and said, I can guarantee you that you will be a millionaire in 3 years from now, guaranteed, and you'll not only be a millionaire in 3 years from now, but you'll be a millionaire for the rest of your life, and you won't have to work hard for the rest of your life. All you got to do for 3 years is pick up 100 pieces of dog poo a day. Would you do it?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Somebody could guarantee me if all I had to do was pick up 100 pieces of smelly dog poo every day, which would get easier, by the way. You'd get a technique, you'd get it faster, you'd become immune to the smell. It wouldn't affect you like the smell affects you in the first couple of months when you're picking up dog poo. You're like, why does it smell? Why does it have to be so smelly? It really upsets me. I lose motivation. But then after a while, you're like, I actually kind of like the smell, you know, 100 a day. And every day that you pick up 100 pieces of dog poo, you're like, I'm 1 day closer to being a millionaire for the rest of my life. I'm sure we'd all do it.
But we would, not
You
everybody
don't have
would,
to do that.
but we would. And enough other people would.
Hey, I'm
That's
picking
the
up dog poo. Do you want to join me? Let's go
Yeah.
and join this sucker or not?
So it's kind of like the excitement that mum and dad had to build their business on, because it's like they didn't have to tell people to pick up dog poo, but what they did tell people to do is wake up at 5 a.m, print off 500 flyers a day, you know, march your backside up to some station in the snow and hand out those flyers no matter what, and, you know, have hundreds of pounds worth of phone bills and this and that and this and that. You know, you're selling someone a promise here. You're selling someone a dream based on, like, you're going to have to do all of this tough stuff, but we're going to be millionaires in 3 years' time. And with that level of excitement and vision that they gave people, they were able.
Yeah.
Is that us or her?
I don't know. Are we frozen too? Okay, Lucy seems to have gone into a freeze.
Could be us.
But I think, but we're still just sort of hanging on. Are we frozen too?
I don't know. No,
Yeah. No, we're not frozen. Okay, Rebecca's telling us we're not frozen. Okay, so all right, so we're not frozen. So let it go.
You look awesome, Lucy.
Yeah, in a fabulous shot. Just boom, caught in action. Lucy in action. Okay. How are we doing? Are we just about ready to wrap up this call?
I think possibly. I think Lucy's, is she still there? Where's she gone now? Can't even see her now.
I'm back. And if you'll do it,
we're back in the room.
Yeah, that's the end of my story anyway. That was Zoom saying, okay, Lucy, get on with it. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right then. So, yes. So guys, thank you for qualifying. Qualify for everything else.
Done.
You're going to be so proud of yourself when you qualify for things. But not only are you going to be proud of yourself, Herbalife will be proud of you. Mark Hughes will be proud of you. You know, don't just do it for yourself. Do it for Mark. And Herbalife rewards you, not just in monetary terms, which is great, not just in the next promotional level, but, you know, you're in this wonderful team of people that really get what you're doing. And when you get to extravaganza, that's what I think I'll wrap it up with. When you get to extravaganza, that's when it really goes into your heart and soul, because you think every single person here, like 18,000, 20,000 people in a room. I mean, I've seen Herbalife go from 200 people in Mark Hughes's first meeting that I went to in Dallas, Texas, to it got so big that it's had to be like 17 or however many extravaganzas around the world per year of 20,000 plus people. I mean, that's how it's grown. But when you're in that room and you're looking around and you're thinking, every single person in this room not only uses the products, but also got themselves to supervisor. And in this case, in Paris, will have done 5,000 volume points too at 50%. And you check out the number of people in the room and you think, if they can do it, you know, of course we can all do it. And if they can do it, of course, when you're out there in the street or when you're on Instagram or whatever, you're going to meet somebody who's as ordinary as they are, who just see the picture. They're not special people who do Herbalife. You know, we're lovely people, but we're not special. We're just ordinary people. And there's thousands of ordinary people out there just waiting for the Herbalife opportunity, who will just get it when we tell it to them. And the reason why you're not meeting many of them is probably because you're not talking to enough people to get to enough of them. And it's as simple as that. So you've got a wonderful thing to spread, a wonderful message to pass on, nothing to be fearful of, because we're all in it together. So let's just do it. Let's just have a wonderful time doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. It's been such a pleasure. It's been wonderful going down memory lane. And it's been wonderful to know that, you know, if I can inspire a few people to join us all on the wonderful, magical mystery tour that leads to health, beauty, and happiness, Why not? What a life. What a great life. What a herbal life.
Yeah.
We're so special. We're so lucky. And I'm so happy and grateful to have all these lovely smiley faces to talk to tonight. Thank you so much for making my evening special. And yeah, and making my story special and important. I really enjoyed sharing it with you all. So shall we say goodbye?
Absolutely. We'll see each other all tomorrow night on the call.
Tomorrow night again. Oh. Okay. But I've told the background story, and guess what? You can promote it to somebody else. That's the name of the game. Whatever you've qualified for, now you get to tell other people, I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I've been on this call with this Herbalife legend. And she shared with me what it was like in the very beginning and how she built her business. Oh my God. Look, why don't we get you going? And who knows, maybe I can get you on a special call with her soon.
If you do 500
Yeah.
or 1,000 or whatever the qualification is going to be, you can announce it.
So everything is about the post-promotion. This was an event that you were able to attend in order for you to be able to say, oh, there's these wonderful, inspiring Zoom calls, these training calls, these focus group calls, whatever it is, you can just use what you've already experienced to inspire someone to go to the next one, just as we did. I just came out of a supervisor workshop. I cannot believe what I've just seen. You've got to get to the next one, and I'm going to help you get there. It's the same pitch. It's just the same. So use the promotion. That's what we're all about. Promote, 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 and you will achieve, achieve, achieve. Go, guys. Have a nice night.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Bye, all. Love you all.
Love you all.
Nobody switching off. How do we get off there? Look at how red we are. What's going on?